Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis offers a plea deal because she's trying to catch her a crack, and it's not going to work, and I'll tell you why. Welcome to Exile. First, here's a headline: Donald Trump in peril as Fani Willis makes breakthrough in Georgia case. That is fake news. He's not in peril because she has said nothing. We have plea deals coming out, but it has not shown at all that Trump is in peril. That is purely speculation and projection, frankly, by Democrat journalists. One of Donald Trump's co-defendants agreeing to testify is a breakthrough in the Georgia election rigging case, legal analysts said. Bail bondsman Scott Hall struck a plea deal with prosecutors that requires him to testify against others, possibly placing the former president at risk, especially as Hall is accused of conspiring with Trump's lawyer to interfere in the election. Fake news. Here's Scott, who allegedly has turned against Trump. He may know nothing, so they may get nothing out of him, but he'll turn over emails, and he's no longer claiming to plead innocence. He has to plead guilty to get the plea deal. And plea deals are what you do when you have nothing. This is why Fani Willis indicted 19 people, knowing they couldn't all be tried, knowing that some of them would flip and help her case out. This is like bribery, where if you can't afford a lawyer, you're going to rack up giant lawyer bills, and then they come in and say, it'd be a shame if you went to court and went broke for life, and they offer you a quick plea deal. Paul, a former Republican poll watcher, was accused of trying to gain access to voter equipment in Coffee County and is the first of the 19 defendants to take on a plea. On Friday, Hall, 59, pleaded guilty to 5 counts of conspiracy to interfere with the election before Fulton Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee. As part of the deal, Hall will get 5 years probation. He will also have to pay $5,000 fine, testify against other defendants in the case, complete 200 hours of community service, and write a letter of apology to Georgia voters. He's also banned from future election administration. That's what you have to do in America to maintain your innocence. Not innocent until proven guilty. Notice a trial hasn't even happened. Hall admitted to traveling to Coffee County in southern Georgia to try to illegally breach voting equipment to look for evidence of a rigged election. Trump lawyer Sidney Powell is also accused of participating in the breach. This is them going after Powell. This has nothing to do with Hall or even Trump at this point. Now, the ultimate is to get Trump, but first they're going after Powell. That spells bad news for, among others, Trump attorney Sidney Powell. He wrote, Goodman then posted a list of the Georgia indictments alleged joint actions between Hall and Powell, suggesting that the plea will put pressure on Powell to also take a plea. Now, they don't know Sidney Powell, and I know Sidney Powell, and she is not going to plea. She will rot in jail for life before she turns. Everyone now kind of looks around and wonders what the evidence that Scott Hall will bring to bear, because they don't have any evidence. That's why they're wondering, will you bring us some evidence? I'm Fani Willis. I have nothing. Please save us, save our terrible losing. And then here's another one of Sidney Powell's underlings that they're going after, trying to make Sidney Powell break. This is Boris Epstein, and 2 false electors are among 6 witnesses sought by DA Fani Willis for the October 23rd trial of 2 Trump co-defendants on election racketeering charges. For example, she says Epstein can testify about his contacts with Powell related to a November 2020 press conference in which Powell alleged that the algorithm, See, these are all the little nobodies in the case, lesser guys, small targets they're willing to sacrifice to try and get bigger targets. The first bigger target is to go after Sidney Powell. But even they don't want Sidney Powell. Remember, this is about stopping Trump from being president. Now, I do believe Trump could throw Sidney Powell under the bus. This is explained on CNN by dense, foolish.
In this group, it is primarily Sidney Powell, because the testimony that he has is that Rudy Giuliani and his whole team, they were pursuing leads. They were hampered by a lack of time, a lack of resources, and so that prevented them from being able to chase everything down completely. It certainly did lead to certain inaccuracies. But when they talk about people putting out knowingly false claims, Carrick and others are going to be able to point right over at Sidney Powell and say, hey, what they're accusing us of, she did. And then he's going to be able to testify about, That's why she was fired. That's why, President Trump told her she wasn't allowed back in the White House.
So Trump might plea out. And remember, if he pleas out, he wins, he becomes president, and he can still pardon Sidney Powell. Her case got pulled out of Georgia and went federal, so he can excuse those. I still believe this will work out in Trump's favor. I believe this shows complete weakness on the part of the Fani Willis case, and that's good news. He may go to jail on this, but the Supreme Court's going to spring him. Trump's going to go to prison, but he's going to win the presidency, and the Supreme Court's going to spring him. That's what I believe is going to happen. I'm Doug in Exile.